Racism is not dead, but it is on life support, kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racist.
Yes, I suspect that there are millions of Americans who would be gratified if the whole subject of race simply vanished into thin air because they're sick of hearing about it. But there are people for whom this is a very lucrative business. I'm amazed at how little attention was paid to the fact that Al Sharpton owes the federal government millions of dollars in taxes. You don't owe millions of dollars in taxes unless you've made millions of dollars in income. And the question is, how did this man, ever get into a position to make millions of dollars?
Did that go over your head? How does Al Sharpton owe millions of dollars and don't own $1 million? That's because he got put in position or took a loan. I'm gonna let him continue.
Other than by race hustling.
Well, let's start with the premise that the term sellout is often misused or misunderstood. What we're really talking about here are individuals who have made a career out of being black leaders, but whose actions and rhetoric do not genuinely advance the interests of the black community. Instead, they often perpetuate a dependency culture which ensures their own relevance and power. Consider Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. Both have long histories in the public eye, positioning themselves as champions for civil rights. Yet their methods often involve stirring racial tensions rather than fostering substantive progress. Sharpton, for instance, has made a name by being at the forefront of many racial controversies, often with a flair for the dramatic. His involvement in cases like Tawana Brawley's, which turned out to be a hoax, demonstrates not just a lack of accountability, but also an exploitation of racial narratives for personal gain. Jesse Jackson has similarly used his platform. His Rainbow Coalition was supposed to unite diverse groups, but his leadership has often been criticized for focusing more on personal or political gain rather than actual community upliftment. Both these figures have been instrumental in pushing narratives that keep the black community focused on grievances rather than on self-improvement and opportunity. Now, let's talk about LeBron James. Here's a man with immense influence, not just in sports, but in social discourse. He's been vocal in support of groups like Black Lives Matter, which is commendable in its aim to address systemic racism. However, there's a glaring inconsistency when prominent figures like LeBron do not equally highlight or address the issue of black-on-black crime, which is a much more pervasive and immediate threat within the black community. Statistics from the FBI show that in 2019, for instance, 90% of black homicide victims were killed by other blacks. Compare this to white-on-white crime, where the numbers are significantly lower. About 8% of black homicide victims were killed by whites. This discrepancy isn't often part of the public discourse, yet it's a critical issue for community safety and development. The focus on racial incidents involving police or other races can overshadow the daily tragedies within the community itself, which need equal, if not more, attention. The irony is that by highlighting only one aspect of crime, these leaders and influencers might inadvertently keep the community in a state of fear, dependency, or even despair, rather than encouraging empowerment, education, and personal responsibility. This is not to say that issues of police brutality.
When I entered the relationship that I'm currently
What's good? What it do? It's your boy Purple Lips, back with another controversial topic, y'all. Now, I know I stopped this in the middle of the video to do my intro. I ain't gonna lie, it was a struggle to do an intro today, y'all, man. I'm a little under the weather, but I do have a quote of the day today for y'all, man. I have a quote, and the quote is, the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Why is that important? Man, go ahead and find something that you love so that you could go ahead and put your passion behind it. And when you put your passion behind, when you love something that you do, man, you're going to do great at it. You're going to spend endless time on it. You're going to try your best at it. Okay? So find something that you want to do. Like, remember that thing that you probably been thinking about, that you've been saying that you've been wanting to do, but you never actually did it? Yeah. Go ahead and do it, because that might just be your passion and you've been holding yourself back. But yeah, y'all. Today we back with a controversial topic. Thomas Sowell, he exposes black sellouts and race hustlers. Why is this kind of important? This is an important subject because you know we have to elevate ourselves. I would like us to elevate ourselves to get out of victimhood, to actually identify some of these things, some of these pillars, some of the ways that the system use our people, and these people we are put in position to be idolized and to want to be like so that you can want to be like them or feel like it's possible, and it is possible, but at the end of the day they're not telling you that they're actually race hustlers, which is they're using their race to, and they're getting back end money. We're basically working for them people who run the system just so they could have a lifestyle and their, I guess, image, so to speak. I'm gonna do, you know what? I'm doing a bad job explaining. I'm gonna let him do the explaining. Thomas Sowell, let him explain it, y'all.
Tragedies within the community itself, which need equal, if not more, attention. The irony is that by highlighting only one aspect of crime, these leaders and influencers might inadvertently keep the community in a state of fear, dependency, or even despair, rather than encouraging empowerment, education, and personal responsibility. This is not to say that issues of police brutality or systemic racism aren't important. They are crucial, but they should not eclipse the need for internal community strengthening. Why do these leaders do this? Well, there's a simple economic and political logic to it. If the black community is perpetually in need of saving or representation, then these leaders maintain their relevance, their media presence, and importantly, their funding. It's a vicious cycle where the solution to the problem is never quite reached because the problem itself sustains the leader's platform. When the problem itself leaves the leader's platform, now, let's delve deeper into the historical pattern of this kind of leadership. Throughout history, communities that have truly advanced have done so by focusing on self-improvement, not by waiting for external salvation. The narrative of dependence, particularly when it's economically or politically incentivized, has roots deep in the civil rights era, where the focus on rights sometimes overshadowed the need for responsibilities. Going back to the numbers, if we look at education, for example, there's been a consistent decline in academic performance among black students in many urban areas. This isn't about capability, it's about opportunity and the messages we're sending. When leaders focus on grievances and not on the hard work of education, we see outcomes like the graduation rates in major cities where black students often lag behind. This isn't an indictment of the community, it's a call to action. We need to shift from a culture that sees every problem through the lens of race to one that recognizes individual agency and communal strength. Now, for advice to any lagging group, including the black community, I'd offer these thoughts. Education is the key to economic mobility. There's no substitute for a good education. It's not about just going to school, but about what you learn there. Education opens doors to opportunities. We need to emphasize education in our communities, not just in terms of attending school, but in valuing learning, critical thinking, and technical skills. We've seen time and again how groups that have prioritized education, like Asian Americans, have managed to rise despite adversity. The data is clear. Higher education leads to better jobs, better income, and a better quality of life for individuals and their families. Promote personal responsibility. You cannot wait for someone or some system to uplift you. Each individual must take responsibility for their.
You could have 1 million followers and still not be able to pay your bills.
Hey.
Over 1 million creators and brands are growing faster.
What's going on here? Jeez. Yeah, they wanted me to get caught for that commercial. Like, for real.
Their own life. This isn't about blaming the victim, but about empowering the individual. We need to teach this system to uplift you. Each individual must take responsibility for their own life. This isn't about blaming the victim, but about empowering the individual. We need to teach our young people the value of hard work, integrity, and the pursuit of personal excellence. The culture of victimhood can be paralyzing if it leads to inaction or excuse making rather than self-improvement. Look at any successful individual or community, you'll find a story of personal responsibility and hard work at its core. Avoid groupthink and cultivate diversity in thought. One of the greatest dangers to any group is the suppression of dissenting voices within that group. We need to foster an environment where different ideas are not just tolerated but welcomed. This diversity in thought leads to innovation, better problem solving, and a more resilient community. One of the greatest dangers to any avoid groupthink and cultivate diversity in thought. One of the greatest dangers to any group is the suppression of dissenting voices within that group. We need to foster an environment where different ideas are not just tolerated but welcomed. This diversity in thought leads to innovation, better problem solving, and a more resilient community. We must challenge the notion that there's only one acceptable way to think or act as a black person or any person of any race. Diverse thought has been the catalyst for progress in every society, and it's no different here. In closing, the real sellouts are those who do not prepare their followers to stand on their own feet, but rather keep them in a state of dependency for their own gain. True leadership involves making oneself obsolete by ensuring the group can thrive independently. That's the kind of leadership we need to cultivate. Remember, the narrative of success for any group, black or otherwise.
Hold up, y'all. I don't know if y'all caught that gem that he just dropped right there, because this brother right here did not only come up and identify a problem that is affecting us in our community, but he also came up with a solution. So let me make sure y'all heard that solution, because that was a very important, very important solution. We all need, I know a lot of us have conversations and don't have solutions behind it. Listen to this one. In this particular situation,
Are those who do not prepare their followers to stand on their own feet, but rather keep them in a state of dependency for their own gain. True leadership involves making oneself obsolete by ensuring the group can thrive independently. That's the kind of leadership we need to cultivate. Remember, the narrative of success for any group, black or otherwise, is written with the ink of education, personal responsibility, and intellectual diversity. These are not just pathways to success. They are the very definition of it.
that was a blessing. That was a blessing. Yeah. How many of y'all like that video right there from this man, Thomas Sowell? Yes, I felt like he had dropped some important information. I thought it was an extremely important topic, because we have to get out of victimhood. One, we have to make sure that we can, we have to come up with better solutions and be open to other ideas. If we can go ahead and do the things that he said, I wrote them down. He said to get out of victimhood, to educate ourselves. Yes, we have to get ourselves, we have to have a standard of STEM. That is how these other races have risen inside their family, their family homes, and their family generational wealth has went up because of having a standard of being inside the STEM. What is STEM? That's science, technicians, engineers, medical field. You must have this standard for your kids. And what you think these other races, like people from other countries, they tell their kids what they're gonna be. Like, I know in America, you could be whatever you want. No. This is what's gonna create stability. So education has to be on the top of a list of one of the things in our community that we demand and we change. You know what I mean? I felt that was very important. I also felt like what he said was having personal responsibility. Yeah, we have to have the personal responsibility on ourselves. You can't blame nobody else. You have to put that responsibility on each individual. Meaning, okay, if you were to tell your kid, have respect, treat people how you want to be treated. Yeah, you want to follow through. You want to have them have that responsibility for themselves, to hold that standard to themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because they gotta eventually they gotta walk through the life with that standard. and responsibility so that they can live up to it. They have to have if not, you're gonna have a low standard. Anyway, I probably said that wrong. Anyway, I thought that was very important. Also, he said intellectual diversity. Intellectual diversity was important because a lot of us we probably don't come up with solutions, probably because we're not open to different ideas. And in order for us to have, if we share our ideas, then we could become more innovative to come to a better solution if we share and open to different ideas. And that's very important so that we can come up with actual solutions. And the last thing is to have integrity. He said to have integrity. Yeah, I felt like all those things were very important. I thought this subject that he talked about was important to our community because I feel as though it's time for change, and I feel like we want it. I feel like we all want some change in our life, and it needs to happen within this generation now. It needs to start now. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe if you like the video. Go ahead, and I'm out.